Well, as you can see, we got a bunch of cooling parts. We got a 7.3 that needs cooling parts. Doing truck stuff today. So for all the people who ask why I don't work on this thing inside, here's why. With it pulled not even completely in, there's basically no room around the front here. And then obviously once we start taking it apart, we're not gonna be able to start it back up to, you know, move it in further so we can put it back. And so I think I'm just gonna suck it up and work on it outside. The other problem is the LS Miata, I have windows that pop in and they sit all the way up here. But for whatever reason, there's just like a little gap here and there. The seal's not great. And it just gets soaked in here, like soaked. Like there was mold on my belts and stuff after just one day of it getting rained in. I tried to clean it up and then I put it back outside again to work on stuff. Same thing happened. So prefer not to let it get soaked again. So I don't know, I'm gonna decide. Well, it was easier to push than I thought. So we're just gonna run it. I guess we're gonna work on it in here because if we push it back, you know, halfway out the door, we can have plenty of room up here, and then, you know, at night when we need to shut the door and lock everything up, we can just push it back inside. So, gonna work inside on the truck for the first time ever. This is pretty exciting. It's gonna rain. We gotta check the weather, and it's gonna rain tonight, and it's gonna rain tomorrow, and it's gonna rain the next day. So, yeah, we're pretty much guaranteed that it's gonna rain on us. So at least now, we can keep working while it's raining. So let me show you guys exactly what we're doing today. So we have a radiator, we have an intercooler, we have a degas bottle, just an overflow bottle, but for some reason in diesel terms, it's called a degas bottle. So that degas bottle, we got a Mishimoto one of those. We have silicone hoses. We have Mishimoto's liquid chill synthetic coolant. I've wanted to try this stuff for a while, but on the track cars, I just run water and water wetter. A lot of tracks you can't run coolant because it's a lot harder to clean up, but this is a tow rig. It might see cold climates, so we're gonna run coolant, might as well run really good coolant. So anyway, really excited to try that stuff out. And then we have a replacement factory oil cooler. Now you might be saying, this is a really weird shaped oil cooler. Well, it is. So it's basically a tube that runs from an oil filter housing to another housing, back into the engine, coolant and oil run through it. It's supposed to help heat the oil up and obviously cool it down when it's hot. So anyway, if you guys didn't see the video when we towed the big trailer down to Orlando, it's about an hour and a half drive. We were doing 70, 75 on the highway. I put the scanner up and checked the oil temp, and it was at 248. I thought it was broken, kept driving. And then when it got to about 255, I was like, it's not broken. We gotta stop. So we stopped and it cooled right down, got back on the highway, heated back up. While we were at the track, I changed the oil temp sensor, same thing, basically. If we went 65, it'd stay around 230, 235. As soon as we went above 65, it just started climbing and climbing. So today, we're going to be addressing that. We also have a 19-row oil cooler setup coming from them to run on this, but it is not here yet because I didn't know that was a problem. I didn't think we'd need it, so it's gonna be here a little later. We also have a transcooler coming, but the Mishimoto transcooler is the go-to transcooler on these trucks, so everyone runs them, and they're out of stock, of course, because everyone runs them. It's the only downfall to using good parts. Everyone runs them, and they buy all of them, and then you can't get yours because they buy all of them. So anyway, this should be a drastic improvement over what's going on right now. And then once we get all this stuff changed, we can kind of reassess and see if we're still having issues with our oil temps, if it's solid or whatever. So anyway, this is a lot of parts. So we're just gonna throw it on instead of waiting for the other stuff. So the only thing that's gonna suck is we're gonna dump coolant freaking everywhere. So, you know, we're gonna try to catch it, but it's hard. It's the worst part about doing projects like this. It's just like impossible not to get fluid all over the ground. It is impossible, but we're gonna try our best. But enough jibber jabbering, let's start getting to work. Let's start tearing this thing apart. All right, so this is everything out of the box. Our hoses, our replacement oil cooler. You guys can kind of get a look at this. So see how it has those little things and then coolant and oil flow through there. Our giant aluminum radiator and our beautiful aluminum intercooler. This stuff looks so nice. And 6 gallons of Mishimoto's coolant, which means if we mess this up, we can do it again because we're gonna dilute this. This is full strength, so we're gonna go 50-50. So like I said, we'll be able to do it again if we mess it up. We shouldn't take more than 6 gallons total. So anyway, that's everything out. It's just such nice parts that I had to show you guys before we started tearing the truck apart and putting them on there. So yeah, it doesn't look too bad to pull this all apart. The worst part for me is this valance makes it really hard to get under the front. I can't just roll under there. All my other trucks have been 4-wheel drive and it's so easy to get under them. You never need to jack them up, and which is good because the lift, I don't really want to put something this heavy on my lift because of how thick our concrete is. So yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Obviously, it's a truck. I can crawl under there. There's still enough room. But anyway, we're gonna start draining the coolant, get the transcooler lines unhooked, and move on from there. All right, radiator's pretty much ready to come out. Super easy so far. Super, super easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out real quick. And just like that, radiator is out. Like I said, honestly, super freaking easy. Whoever worked on this before, man, common theme with this truck, whoever freaking touched this thing, you can see that's where the drain valve would be, and it's broken off. So couldn't drain it that way. Had to just unhook the hoses, which resulted in a bit of a mess. I caught most of it, but when I pulled the cap off to let the air in so that the water would flow out faster, it just started shooting right past my catch pan. So like I said, jobs like this are impossible to do without spilling something. So I just accept it. It's never fun. All right, got the stock intercooler out. Also super freaking easy. This whole process would take a couple hours, but I have to do the factory oil cooler, which is down here on the side of the block. I'll try to show it to you guys in the truck, but basically I gotta remove that oil radiator hose to get to the bolts on the front portion. Then the back portion's kind of buried under there. This part is probably gonna be the worst, most time consuming part. And I can't lift this freaking thing of coolant and oil by myself. Well, it's mostly coolant. There's like a skim of oil to pour it into the thing because it just sloshes everywhere and it's too full. So yeah, I don't know. I can't drain the oil right now, so I gotta wait for Ben to get back so we can both lift it. Like, I can lift it, but it's just gonna splash everywhere. Alrighty, well, we had to call the night last night because Ben didn't get home till late, and I couldn't really drain the oil, like I said, without draining the coolant pan. So what I ended up doing, a big drain pan, like a proper one that I can close, I can keep the oil in there if I need to, and whatnot. And I can actually lift it up and pour it into the thing without making a mess. So anyway, we have what we need now. I should have just bought this last night. But we have what we need now to drain the oil. So next step, we're gonna drain the oil out of this thing, and then we're gonna start getting our oil cooler tube thing off. I guess I'm gonna get to it, see what happens. I think our 1/4-inch Milwaukee ratchet is gonna be our hero today. If you get yourself an electric ratchet, I would suggest, if you can, get one of each. The 3/8 is super stout, like takes anything off. I mean, it is very strong. I've cracked big stiff bolts loose with it and it's fine. However, a lot of times when you really need an electric ratchet, otherwise it's gonna take 30 minutes to get a bolt out, you need the small head of the 1/4-inch one. So I end up using the 1/4-inch one probably about as much as I use the 3/8 one or similar. Like I said, it's one of those things where when you really, really need the electric ratchet, the 1/4-inch is usually the only one that fits. So definitely worth getting. I didn't see a point in it at first, but I was like, I'll try it, and it is a lifesaver. It is gonna be a lifesaver to get to these bolts down here because this one doesn't fit because it's a very tight spot. So anyway, let me show you guys what we gotta take off and kind of where it is. Like I said, it's kind of tricky for me to crawl under here. I tried to clean up the coolant spill, but we're gonna get a little wet. There's no way around it. Man, this is gonna be trickier to show you guys than I thought. Oh man, you really can't see this thing at all, can you? That right there is the front housing that we gotta take off. So there's like 3 bolts. And then back here is the back portion where the oil filter is. So as you can see, the tube runs from the back to the front. So basically we gotta unbolt this, unbolt the front part, and pull this whole thing out as one unit, most likely. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the oil filter off, let that all drain into my drain pan, and then start tackling these bolts. Alrighty, we got it out. It really wasn't that bad at all. Yeah, so now we gotta split this apart. So there's a tab here and a tab directly opposite. We're gonna take a pry bar and pry these ends off. So this is what we should see. But I'm hoping that ours is clogged up, because if ours is clogged up, that would explain our high oil temps. Whereas if it's not, then I don't know. Definitely doesn't look clean. There's something stuck in one of them. I get the other side off and I'll show you guys. This is a freaking messy job, man, I'll tell you that much. Okay, my freaking glasses off, there we go. Just got her past the lip. Seems like the O-rings just get caught. It gets real tricky. Gotta get this O-ring out. Oh my, look at this. Did I mention that this is a messy job? Oh, okay, we got it. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not terrible, but I'll show you guys. And we got crap stuck in them, like rust and chunks of stuff stuck in them. Who knows how much is deeper down in there, not just sitting on the ends. And then this one, I don't even know what this is. It looks like a piece of silicone, or I guess part of a rubber O-ring. I was just chilling like that. You guys probably can't. There you go, now you can see it. Literally like that when I took the cap off. So maybe this wasn't all of our problem, but this is definitely a huge part of our problem, which is why I'm glad we did this. I didn't really want to do it because I knew it was going to be a messy job, and it's definitely a bit of a project to get under there and get it out. But I mean, like I said, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I can't complain at all. Putting it back in might be a bit of a challenge, just trying to get the whole thing up there and wind up with the holes and bolts threaded in, you know, without cross-threading anything and whatever, and getting the gaskets on and all that stuff. So that part's probably gonna be a little tricky, but I mean, hey, we got it out. Can't complain about that. So I'm gonna go under there, clean the oil off the ground. I'm gonna clean the grease and gunk around where I'm working on the engine, and then we will start reassembling this with the new one. Making progress, making good progress, guys. All right, I got these guys all cleaned up with the pressure washer and some oven cleaner. That's a neat trick. Someone told me when I first started my channel, Dollar Tree, dollar store, whatever, oven cleaner, $1 for a can, works amazing. Just don't get it on you because that stuff's rough. But yeah, no, I mean, they're about as cleaned up as I can get them. Some scaliness in here, and I don't want that to go through the engine, but I mean, I pressure washed the crap out of it and it wasn't coming off, so I don't know, maybe I'll try. Hold on. All right, I went ahead and cleaned out as much of the scaliness as I could with a wire brush, and it definitely seems a lot better. I flushed it out as best I could with the pressure washer, so should be all right. So I just want to let those dry fully, and then we'll start slamming it back together. You can see this is the old front gasket, and it looks like it was pretty toast. So I definitely think there's definitely a leak from this area in the front. So I think this was a big culprit. So anyway, it's a good thing we're doing this. So we got new O-rings, new gaskets, new cooler. So like I said, once that dries, we'll get that in the vise and start slamming it together. Just look at that. Did you just look at it? Look at it. I ran to the dealer and picked up a new thermostat. Went with a nice OEM one. I'm a firm believer in OEM parts, like firm believer. Obviously, depending on what it is. But when it comes to like aftermarket stuff, I just usually buy the cheapest thing that still looks decent because they're all pretty much the same. Sometimes this is a lot of generalizations, but for the most part, if you can buy the OEM part, if it's something important, freaking buy the OEM part. If there's ever some weird oddball part you need for a car, check the dealer, because a lot of times they might have it. So anyway, just something interesting. I always thought like auto parts stores were the only option for whatever reason when I was younger. So yeah, I'm gonna put the thermostat in now, and then we will start slamming this new cooler core onto our ends as they are about dry now. Alrighty, so now we got to put the new oil cooler housing dealio back together. So I'm just lubing up the O-rings with some oil. You got to put the big one on, then the small one on. Pretty easy. You got to kind of stretch them around the thing. So now I'm trying to lube up the housing some. Getting these housings on was a pain. It's like once you get it to pop past the O-ring, it was okay, but you'll see. I'm just struggling and struggling, trying to hammer it, trying to push it, trying to hammer it. I finally got that one to pop on, and then I'm messing with the other one, and this one was even more of a pain. It took me, I don't even know how long. It took me a bit to get this one on. Oh no. Look at this. The water is pouring in my bed and then pouring out the drains into the shop onto the ground. It is freaking dumping rain right now, like dumping rain. Oh, that sucks. That really sucks. God dang it. All right, well, I guess maybe I should, I might try to push it forward some. Anyway, I got this thing back together. Boy, that was a pain. Just getting these things popped over the O-rings. I tried just oil, but it wasn't happening, so I had to put a little grease around the rim and get it to slide on. Start throwing this thing back in there. Man, that was a freaking messy project. But the new oil cooler, factory oil cooler replacement is in, new oil filter is in, and the rain has stopped. It's a sign things are going good. I shouldn't say that because then they won't go good, but hopefully things are going good. So yeah, now we're on back onto the easy stuff, really. Oh, I shouldn't say that either. You guys know how many times I do this to myself. But yeah, we're gonna be throwing the Mishimoto rad in, the Mishimoto intercooler in. Well, the intercooler goes first, getting our fan shroud back in. I already got one of the hoses in here. Intercooler, fan shroud, radiator are kind of our next steps. All of those came out pretty easy, so I'd assume they should go back in pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and clean myself up and clean up a little bit, and then we'll start on that part of the project because, oh God, my hair. Oh, you guys wonder why, look at that. Why I get grease on my face and on my glasses, and it's just, you know, I've just always been like this. I always end up touching my face. Anyway, I'm gonna get cleaned up. I'm gonna do a quick cleanup, and then we'll get to installing our beautiful, beautiful goodies. All right, so installing the intercooler. This is a little bit tricky because I left the intercooler tubes on, and so I was kind of trying to fight to get the outlets of the intercooler past those, but once I got it past those, it just fell right into place. I didn't even believe it, so I kind of started pulling it back out, put it back in, and I'm like, is it really in place? So I get the intercooler tubes on, I'm checking, I'm like, it's in place. It was really that easy. So now we just got to tighten down the intercooler boots. It's always a little tricky to get them lined up in a way to where they tighten down and they're still easy to get to, but we get those tightened up, get the top bolts in that bolt the intercooler into the core support, and then it's just fan shroud and radiator. I had to get under there to get the radiator to like fall into place perfectly, and then we put the top brackets on. Super easy, like super easy. The only thing that I really fought with was these freaking spring clamps, man. I should have just changed out for regular hose clamps because I fought with these so hard and it's just so annoying. All right, everything is in. I had to put the stock degas bottle back in because the threads on my cap are messed up. Since this is plastic, you can make it work, but on the aluminum one, the threads are too hard on it to deal with my messed up threads on my cap. So anyway, we're gonna run the stock one for now, and we'll get a new cap so we can run the cool aluminum one. It looks sick in here. I put it in here and then realized my cap was messed up. So anyway, what's left? Coolant and oil, so fluids basically. So we got oil, and then we've got the Mishimoto coolant, gallon. It should take around 5 to 6. So anyway, let's get to it. Lots of fluids to fill. It's alive! Sounds much healthier now that it had an oil change. I think this thing was long overdue for an oil change. It was very black. I just was waiting because I knew I was gonna do this and take that thing off, so I didn't want to change it just to change it again in like a couple days. So anyway, we gotta let it warm up. I guess I'm gonna back it out of here so we're not smoking up the shop. Gotta let it warm up, get to operating temp, that way we can bleed out the cooling system, like let the thermostat open and water flow through and then finish topping it off. So yeah, I'm gonna back it up. Alrighty, well, everything checks out so far. Can't really see any leaks, but it is really wet under there, and I didn't want to crawl too far while it was running, but yeah, so far so good. So what I'm gonna do is, it's already like 9 o'clock. Again, neighbor Al needs his beauty sleep, so I'm gonna let him sleep. We'll pick this up in the morning, we'll go for a test drive. Since I knew I was gonna do this, I went and drove it around to see what kind of oil temps it got up to around town. Into town and back, which is like 10 minutes, it was up to like 215, 220. So if we're staying below 200 around town, then we know that we've made an improvement, and you know, we can test more after that, but that's going to be like the first test. It's a real short test, and we'll know if anything's changed or not. So anyway, we'll do that in the morning when it's daylight out, and we don't wake neighbor Al up from his beauty sleep. See you guys in the morning. All right, we've been idling for a while, and our oil temps are only 116, so we're gonna go drive and see what happens. This is why you can't. People are like, what are your coolant temps? Well, I guess the ECU reading, hold on, let me turn this down. You guys are probably getting blasted. The ECU reading is a little inaccurate. It says we're at negative 132. So I don't think that's correct. I've seen it do like 250. I've seen it go from 250 to negative 20. It's great. It's all over the place. But anyway, I'm gonna hit the road and I'll report back when we have some findings of some sort. Fingers crossed for me, guys. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully, that would be awesome. Well, we are about to crest 200, so I'd say our problem may not be resolved. Yeah, we just crested 200. I'll see what it is by the time I get home, cruising at speed, see if it stays around 200 or if it keeps climbing. That'll really be the test. it really shouldn't go over 200 just cruising around. So wish me luck. Nope, 201. We're still climbing. So I stopped at a gas station to grab a drink, and it wouldn't start back up. This guy about a 7.3 OBS truck stopped, and we were chatting, trying to figure it out. Ben showed up with my jumper cables. We jumped it. We were trying to jump it. It just clicked. So we messed with the cables a bunch and got them like as tight as we could, and then it fired right up. So I need to redo the cables on this, the grounds and then the positive going from one battery to the other. Do a loop and see if because we didn't get over 200. 200's about the max it should be cruising around. So we'll see if we can get her over 200. If we can, which I'm assuming we will, then we didn't solve our problem. Oh, come on, dude. Why are you going 40 miles an hour? It's a freaking 60. All right, I'll report back. All right, well, that was pretty inconclusive. I drove around a little more, doing like 60, 65. Got up to 210, and I didn't drive that far. I just drove till I got to 210, and I was like, all right, it's definitely not completely fixed. Definitely seems better. It seems like it takes longer to get there. It doesn't seem fixed. It shouldn't be at 210 just driving around completely unloaded. So we got something else going on. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's not the high pressure oil pump. So like I said, the high pressure oil pump feeds the injectors, it fires the injectors. I guess when they start going out, you'll start seeing high oil temps, and then you'll also have hard starting when it's hot, which it seems to start a little bit less quick when it's hot, but that seems more like a voltage issue. It seems like when it's hot, it just doesn't have as much juice to turn over, but I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, at least the oil cooler is done. It definitely was kind of plugged up. The gaskets were definitely leaking. We had a leak, and that was definitely at least the majority of the leak. There might be another leak somewhere, but that was most of it. So needed to get done anyway. I wanted to get this nice Mishimoto stuff in. Ow, that's still hot. Yeah, this stuff looks nice. It'll work a lot better. It'll keep at least our coolant temps and stuff a lot cooler, keep our intake air temps cooler, thus make more power, less EGTs, all the good stuff. So definitely wanted to get all this stuff done either way, problem or not. It's not bummed that it didn't solve the problem. I pretty much assumed that it wasn't gonna solve the problem when I pulled the oil cooler out and it wasn't clogged. Like, I mean, it was a little clogged, but you know, it wasn't like completely plugged up. Like coolant and oil could still flow through it. So anyway, I guess we will try to figure this out another day. Today is not the day though. So anyway, it's back together, it's running and driving. That's all we need right now. Like I said, we'll have to figure it out. I might go on a trailer test just to see, you know, maybe 210 is like all it gets up to, or 220, maybe it gets to 220, 230 with the trailer, which is okay. But I don't know. Just based on what it's running at, driving around town, probably not fixed, not the case, but you know, we'll hold out hope. So anyway, that's gonna be it for 7.3 content for today. We got plenty more stuff to do to this thing. We will get her sorted out, but for now we need to move on to the Subaru because I'm gonna be registering it this week. So I want to try to work out the last little bit of bugs. We got a bunch of interior parts, we got a bunch of stuff for it, so I want to get it finished up and registered and start driving that thing around. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.